In this WrestleTalk news, the reaction of Vince McMahon to his allegations and his Netflix documentary getting pulled, my review of SmackDown and Tempest's review of Rampage. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
It was revealed yesterday through another Wall Street Journal article that 3 more NDAs were uncovered in Vince McMahon's past, covering up infidelity, sexual harassment, and sexual misconduct, totaling $12 million in payouts. Fightful Select posted after the Wall Street Journal article was published, saying that they were contacted by many WWE staff, including some who had remained quiet about McMahon in the past. One mentioned they'd wish they'd spoken up sooner, noting that McMahon's reaction to the whole saga has ranged from no selling the whole thing to being defiant. They also noted that after Vince's pointless appearance on the June 17th episode of SmackDown, their words not mine, though that could also be my words, he returned to gorilla position and yelled, "F*** 'em," which seemingly was in response to the allegations first airing. The report also noted that the writing staff were vaguely aware of something going on with Vince in this nature, saying McMahon's behavior was heavily rumored among the writing team based on those that we spoke to, though we didn't hear if elements of coercion and NDAs were well known. One former writer we spoke to said that McMahon's relationships would be a half-joking excuse as to why he'd be late to meetings before TV. WWE talent have reportedly not been able to speak about Vince's behavior on the record, but they reportedly have contacted Fightful privately and expressed displeasure and extreme frustration with the way that Vince has handled this situation. There was also a memo sent out to WWE staff after the Wall Street Journal posted their update article that read as follows. The Wall Street Journal has published a second story with expanded details on its initial WWE report last month. We want to reiterate that we and our board of directors take these allegations seriously. We've been cooperating fully with the investigation led by our board of directors and will continue to do so until its conclusion. Please note that upon its conclusion, WWE leadership will make itself available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. I'm sure yelling "F*** 'em" is really taking it seriously. Vince was also reportedly backstage at SmackDown last night doing his normal duties. Thank God it was backstage and not on screen. There was also another interesting report from Fightful Select that spoke about Vince's odd travel plans yesterday, noting that Vince was scheduled to travel from Fort Worth to Vancouver immediately after SmackDown, and the reason for this travel likely has something to do with John Cena. Moreover, as of last week, John Cena wasn't confirmed for SummerSlam. However, there were rumblings that they were going to try and nail him down for a WrestleMania match, though this plan was then shifted to next weekend instead of this one. So will Cena still be heading to SummerSlam with all this controversy pointed at WWE right now? It seems this may be an effort from Vince to get Cena to sign on the dotted line for a match at SummerSlam or WrestleMania, but who knows what'll happen. In another further interesting development, Denise Salcedo is reporting that the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary that was in the works has been pulled and is off the programming spreadsheet at Netflix. A source at Netflix confirmed it no longer being listed on their spreadsheet. Another source at Netflix said, "That shit's out of here." Another source indicated that the project was already deep in post-production and that several talent interviews had been done months ago and that millions were spent. I spoke to one of the producers on the project, however they declined to confirm nor deny this story to me. And now it's time for my review of SmackDown in about 5 minutes. Thank you for being awesome pledge hammers on our Patreon page, The Roller Coaster, Robert Acosta, and Chris the Cypriot Sensation Patru. You can get your own shoutout and loads of extra bonus content by visiting us at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. This show started off with Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. Oh man. And then it was Roman Reigns' time to make his monthly appearance on WWE TV, who did his incredibly long entrance, and then it was an ad break. I'm not joking. This show was a recap of Money in the Bank, a Roman Reigns entrance, and then an ad break. When I say that Roman's entrance is too long, I mean his entrance is too f***ing long. Paul Heyman was concerned about Brock Lesnar beating Roman Reigns, and while his promo was delivered absolutely brilliantly because Heyman is an incredibly talented orator, this is exactly the same build we've seen and heard before. Reigns thinks he can win, Heyman is scared that Lesnar could win. That's it, that's the whole story. Even with Heyman's promo, I cannot get into this feud at all because I've seen it so many times before, and literally nothing has changed from their feud at WrestleMania, except that Roman has both belts now, which isn't playing into the story at all. WWE really need to do more if they want the audience to buy into Lesnar versus Reigns one more time, because right now, marketing this as the last time they'll face each other isn't enough, because the last time they should have faced each other should have been at WrestleMania, and we need to be given a reason why they're fighting again. That's not just because it's SummerSlam. Theory came out and jogged around the ring with his briefcase because mind games. After a recap of the new Vicious Viking Raiders, we got the new Vicious Viking Raiders versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky, where the new Vicious Viking Raiders were both new and vicious. If you're getting tired of hearing the words new and vicious, try listening to the commentary on SmackDown. Of course, they won quickly, and afterwards the New Day came out and cut a long promo about kicking the Viking Raiders' asses. It was time for payback. They stormed the ring, and then they got immediately pounced on and beaten up. Great job, New Day. You look great out there. I swear this was a rib. It must have been. After a recap of Happy Corbin attacking Pat McAfee at Money in the Bank, we got Happy Corbin on commentary, where he was actually quite funny, especially when Shinsuke Nakamura came out and he mocked Pat's overexcitedness. Walter came out and said he won't do an open challenge for the title, so Shinsuke Nakamura came out and said fine, he'll earn his title shot by facing Ludwig Kaiser instead. It was a fairly quick match, Nakamura won, and afterwards Walter was upset Kaiser made him look bad by association, so he chopped the shit out of him repeatedly as punishment. I like this aspect of the character. Big fan. I thought they were splitting them up at first, but I'm glad this is just an angle on Walter's character. Liv Morgan came out with her new title and said it meant everything to her, to which Natalya came out and had the devastating burn of I can dream too of when you will shut up. My God, Natty! Calm down! Sick burn! Ronda Rousey came out and wasn't mad at Liv Morgan for taking advantage of her injury at all. Makes sense to me. After an ad break, it was Ronda versus Natalya again, this time without the title on the line. And despite Ronda not being dressed to compete and having a knee injury, she squashed Natalya in a matter of a couple of minutes. And I do mean squashed. I don't think Natty got a single move in. Back down the card you go, Natty. Thanks for coming. Max Dupree showcased Marseille and Mansoir in the tennis collection, which was them essentially wearing vaguely tennis-y things for a while. I would like this to lead somewhere. Also, the commentary said there was an overwhelming response from the crowd here at Fort Worth while they sat there in complete silence. I love being lied to. After a very necessary recap of Theory running around the ring earlier, he cut a promo saying he'll cash in on either Reigns or Lesnar, and also Madcap Moss was there. Okie dokie. Lacey Evans turned heel next, saying the crowd didn't cheer her enough. The promo went round in circles and took about 5 minutes though, but the long and short of it was that she felt she wasn't cheered enough because she poured her heart out about her past. Weird, but alright. She gave a woman's right to Aaliyah. Cool. The Usos faced Los Lotharios in a championship contenders match next, which the Usos won very quickly. They were then told in their rematch in SummerSlam with the Street Profits there will be a special guest referee because Ford's shoulder was up in their Money in the Bank match. I am actually curious who that will be. And in the main event, as advertised through the whole show, Drew McIntyre faced Sheamus to determine who would face Roman Reigns, the undisputed Universal Champion, whoever that could be anyone, at Clash at the Castle. Except that match didn't happen because before the match, Sheamus faked a coughing fit and said he had COVID and had to get tested. I'm not joking. Instead, Butch faced Drew, who Drew squashed in a matter of about a minute. Ridge Holland attacked Drew, who got laid out with a Future Shock DDT, and then Sheamus tried to get in the ring, but Drew instead got his sword and tried to murder Sheamus, instead slicing the top rope, and then the fire pyro went off when he cut the rope. Sorry, it's just really stupid. It's really bad. And he just stood there for ages with the sword, and just went down to try and like cut on the top of Sheamus's head, but Sheamus just got off the apron, but he was standing there for ages with the sword like he was gonna like knight him or something, but he just, and then he cut the rope, and then the pyro, oh, it's so stupid. This wasn't a good show, yet again. Not good. I liked the one aspect of Walter's character where he chopped Ludwig Kaiser, and that's it. I think that's all I liked on this show. Most of everything else was fine or bad. This is a 1 out of 5 show, maybe 1.5 is a stretch. SmackDown is not a good show, gang. Now over to Tempest for his review of Rampage.
Hello everyone and welcome to AEW Rampage. Very important distinction on this show. This show kicked off with Eddie Kingston and Konosuke Takeshita, and already within a minute of them starting, Excalibur was already talking about Jumbo Tsuruta and Mitsuharu Wasawa, and I just adore this show for that. Eddie played the role of the heel in this match by raking the eyes and putting Takeshita in holds as they built to a comeback, but the fans weren't going to boo the man. This was more of a way to ensure Eddie's popularity didn't drown out Takeshita's, and they did that very well. Takeshita kicked out of a lariat at 1 and the crowd went banana. Ultimately, they exchanged huge strikes until Eddie hit his spinning back fist and collapsed on top of Takeshita for the win. It is truly incredible how over Takeshita has gotten despite not winning a single match on TV yet. It goes to show that the up-and-coming star that every veteran isn't quite prepared for is such a great way to get a young guy over. This was a fantastic opener. Pac versus Takeshita pronto, please and thanks. 5 out of 5. Athena and Chris Statlander cut great promos backstage about how they're world-class performers who shouldn't be overlooked by Jade when she's looking for opponents, and it really makes me question why the build around this women's title has been pretty good, while the other one has been pretty bad. Very strange, but I can't wait to see both of these matches. And that, ladies and gents, is where we hit pause on our remotes, because this middle chunk of the show then became ROH Rampage. Tully Blanchard's team of the Gates of Agony wrestled Lee Moriarty and Jonathan Gresham, and while I was excited to see the ROH World Champion in his TV debut, this was more of an angle than a match. Khan and Toa Leona isolated Moriarty, and when he tried to make the tag, Gresham turned heel and left his partner to get beat with a gutbuster. Gresham joined Tully and then set up an ROH World title match for next week. Should be a good match. I'm glad they're finally doing something with Gresham, as they kinda have to make up for lost time due to his injury. Solid angle, 3 out of 5. Eddie Kingston cut a fabulous promo backstage saying that now that he's wrestled a young guy, he can focus on an old guy in Chris Jericho. He said every drop of blood that Jericho bleeds will be a sin, and the last drop will be for Ruby. Someone give Eddie Kingston the world and everything in it. We're getting a barbed wire match with the JAS in a Shark Tank at Fyter Fest, and that's sure gonna be nutty. Then we got more ROH Rampages. Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez faced Kayla Sparks and Christina Marie, and this was the tag squash where they kinda coexist, but not really, as Deeb and Martinez were trying to one-up each other the entire time, but that never took precedent over winning the match. They didn't argue with each other and cost them the match, they just tried to be the one who hit harder until Deeb won with the Serenity Lock and attacked Mercedes after the match. Another solid setup angle for what should be a very solid title match. 3 out of 5. And we thank you for joining this broadcast of ROH Rampage as we once again hit play on our remotes for the main event of AEW Rampage as Tony Nese took on Orange Cassidy. This was a match I thought could have been swapped with the Eddie Kingston match, but by the end, this had fans going crazy with "This is awesome" chants, so I'm not bothered. Smark Sterling kept trying to interfere on Nese's behalf, but just as he was going to hit Orange with the clipboard, Danhausen punched him right in the penis. That is worse than a curse, I'll tell you that much. But maybe not, as Danhausen immediately placed a curse on Tony Nese, and Orange hit the best Orange punch ever for the win. Really weird that this match felt completely unrelated to Swerve Strickland, yet it was supposedly a match with his job at stake. I don't really get that, but I thought this was one of the better Orange Cassidy TV matches I've seen of late, and it sent the crowd home happy with a very fun win. 4 out of 5. Overall, another good episode of Rampage. This seems to be the show that they're going to be using to build up Death Before Dishonor, and I'm not upset about that. Nothing you need to go out of your way to see, but you won't have a bad time with anything on the show. 4 out of 5.
In this WrestleTalk news, yet more confirmation that Sasha Banks and Naomi have been released for realsies. Bryan Danielson's injury is branded concerning, and injury/return updates are plenty, so subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Happy Friday, folks, from this blind